Hey guys, so what I'm gonna totally do something different today. I'm gonna evaluate one of my own rides, and I think this is really important to do as riders because a lot of times we can see things that we can't feel. So if you don't have an instructor on the ground that can actually, give you feedback as you're riding, it's really valuable to come back and watch your own videos and evaluate yourself. And so I'm going to do that because I've always said from the very beginning, I am not the world's best rider. I'm not even a professional. I'm doing these videos to kind of help share what I've learned over the years, hoping that it helps you. I know that I come to my training with a unique view because of my background and with my holistic medicine background and my movement science background, and just all that that entails. And I will put a link in the video that kind of describes that a little bit in case you guys didn't see that. I'll put that in the comment section. But what I really want to do is watch this video of me riding Jovi, who is my coming 6-year-old, and his first ride back after the winter break. And I'm just going to kind of give a play by play of maybe what I did wrong, what could look better. When I look at the video, how am I critiquing it for me? So this way you guys can get a feel for, things that aren't good in the video that I don't really know until I watch it myself, or I have an inkling it's not going well, but I really see it when I start watching the video. So one of the things that I think is really important to first point out is that Jovi has a unique challenges to his conformation, and I've talked about this in other videos. He kind of he's not really built downhill in that his withers are the same height as his like SI joint, but he's got sort of this energetic downhillness quality to him because he doesn't lift his withers very well and he doesn't bend his hind legs and get them underneath of himself. Now, of course, whenever he's stretching, that actually looks worse, even though in the beginning of any sort of ride, or especially when I'm legging a horse back up, that I want them to stretch because I want them to loosen up a little bit. So that's just one thing that I can see, and I always see whenever I watch videos of Jovi. I know that in this video, I'm trying to keep my reins long because I really don't want a lot of contact. I am not going to right away put them in a frame, but I have a tendency to have my reins too long. I really do. When I kind of start working a little higher in the levels, I have a tendency to be better about shortening my reins, but just in general, it's a problem that I have. I have too long reins, and sometimes I have not enough of a solid contact, meaning there will be some gap in the contact. From time to time, you'll see a little looseness in the contact. And you see that even here in the beginning of this little walk warm up. And I get it that I'm trying not to put him in a frame and I'm trying just to help him to stretch down. But sometimes a nice firm contact can actually give the horse something to go into. And so I'm being a little too light here, I feel. And that is sort of a habit of mine that I need to work on. I'm always so conscious of like not taking back and not shortening the neck, but then I take it to the extreme and then I don't have enough contact and the rein is too loopy and there's too much like space in there. So one of the ways that I try and like think about it myself is to even say, okay, I want to have like a handshake. It doesn't have to be this firm power handshake with the horse, but it can't be this disappearing, right? Like, so if you were someplace with your partner and you were a little bit concerned, you wouldn't want them to like grab your hand, but at the same time, you wouldn't want them to have like this loose handhold with you. You'd want to feel like, hey, I'm here for you. And that's the same thing that we want to do with our horses. So that is sort of the first thing that I noticed. And I do look a little weak in my core, but that is kind of to be expected. I'll be completely honest. I need to lose a little bit of weight. This is a thing that I really struggle with and have my entire life. I can run and take it off, but I don't have the time right now. I'm getting my doctorate. I'm in front of the computer all the time. That doesn't do anything for my weight. I also had to be really careful with my back because I have a really bad back. So running aggravates that. So that's a no-go. So I have to always come up with creative ways. I stay pretty active, but I really would like to lose weight, and I think I would look better on the horse, and my position would be better if I lost weight. Honestly, that's how I feel about it for myself. As Jovi walked across that diagonal, I feel like when he drops really low in the contact, you almost see his hind legs get even straighter behind. And this is better here. So this neck is better than it was walking really deep. And of course, that tightness in his back shows up with that little bit of a jig. I'm not really worried about that because I think that will just totally disappear as he gets fit. So again, my reins are too long. I understand because when he drops down, the reins are there for him to feel like there's no constraint up front. But, and there he needs a little bit more walk, a little more impulsion, a little marching feeling to his walk. And of course, when I kind of push for that is when he wants to jig. And that's just because he can't walk over his back as well. And I think that would be better if I had better contact. I really do. I think that would be better. I usually have a pretty soft seat, not too hard, but I think my arms get a little too soft. My reins get a little too long, and the connection there can suffer. And I think that shows up in even this section of walk where he wants to jig. And if I had him better connected into the reins, even from the get-go, even though I'm trying to be quiet and I'm trying to just let him stretch out because he's, just coming back into work, I think I'm doing him a disservice here by not actually giving him some contact to go into. So that would be my biggest complaint about this ride so far, is that my reins are too long and my connection is inconsistent, and the horse, I think, is a little like suffering because of that. So I really wanted to do this kind of thing because, first of all, to just be completely honest and transparent about my own struggles as a rider, because we all have them. When people don't admit them, they're just not being honest with themselves. We all have things that come easy to us. We all have things that come hard to us. We all have physical limitations. We all have limitations because, maybe our job it doesn't do us any favors when it comes to riding, or maybe, the scenario at the barn. I mean, there's a gazillion things that could create where we feel like our riding isn't the best it could be. Sometimes it's finances, not being able to afford good training. Sometimes it's just lack of good training, in your area. And that's the nice thing about today's world, is there's a lot of online stuff that you can access and pay for, and some of it's free. He's a little too bent in the neck here, and a little like not really stepping through with his left hind. Again, a little more better connection in the right rein would have helped that. And as you see, yeah, again, just not enough connection here. I know what I didn't want him to feel like I was shortening him, but again, a little more activity behind. He's stepping out with that left shoulder. There we go with the right hind. That's a better leg yield on the circle. And I think I say this right here. Yeah, and shift myself over to the right. Over to the right. He wants to kind of push me over to the left, and I have to be really careful that I don't fall in that direction. So that's a little bit better there. But again, just a little more activity behind if I had to be, super picky. So in 2 weeks from now, if I'm still riding like this, I would really be not happy with myself because this needs to be better here. So let's see as we go on with the ride. So this is when I start the exercise. And again, hind legs trailing, there they catch up a little bit. And I'm supposed to turn, I turned left here and then, and there, he could be a little bit more forward and a little bit better connected into the bridle. So if I was my own student, I would be telling myself, walk on a little bit far, a little bit more, take a little better connection with the mouth. Don't be quite so light. Don't be so scared of actually having a nice solid connection in your hand, even in this exercise. Little better rib cage bend there. He needs better rib cage bend. And again, this connection with too long of a rein doesn't help that, because then you have this, it's like a gap in the communication, because by the time that you take the slack out of the rein, then you're a little bit late in your aids. That's a little better there. And then I'm supposed to actually change the bend and continue with the leg yield to the right. But that was my mistake there that I talked about in the video about not doing the exercise. So what do? I repeat it, which is good. It doesn't hurt to repeat it, especially when you're doing these suppling exercises. A little left leg there, left leg, get that left hind active, the left hind. So he's drifting there. We get the left hind for 1 or 2 strides. Good. And then forward, and really ride that forward, like channel that forward instead of just letting it sort of drift forward. So just a little sloppiness here, really. And I hope that, this would be good. This is good for me to watch myself and to evaluate myself so that next time I can go out and I can make it better. And again, my rein's just a little too long. And then we're going to change the bend here, which goes pretty well, which is good because sometimes his little changes of bend can be difficult. And in general, the horse could just be walking a little more forward and walking through his body better. Again, I get that, he's just like not been under saddle for 2 months. Straight for 2 strides would have been nice before I do the leg yield. This is pretty good. Yeah, there's better with the left hind. And then I didn't want to get too close to the camera because sometimes the camera will lose me if I'm too close. So I also apologize because I think in the video my sound quality goes out when I go down to the lower end. So I usually have my camera in the center of the arena, but I'm trying a different setup because, okay, he needs a little more right hind there. Right hind. There you go. Half halt, left shoulder, right hind. Yeah, there I go. I was having the camera in the center of the arena, and that's when if the wind blows, it blows it over, and I've broken it twice doing it that way. So I was trying a different setup because I've lost the little microphone, which is why I had no microphone for a while when it did that. And I also have broken the camera equipment twice with the wind blowing it over. So I have it in a more secure location now. This is getting better, even though he's jigging. We're having a little bit better connection. Or we did. Now we don't. So I am going to keep working with the best video place and the best sound quality. Making sure I'm not collapsing over that left side of my body there and kind of shifting over to the left. He wants to push me there anyhow. That's better crossing with the right hind underneath his center of gravity. And that's really what I'm going for, is that ability to loosen those hips and loosen the pelvis a little bit with, with this lateral work. So then, of course, typical Jovi kind of wants to be a little sluggish on the get-go. He'd rather canter. He really needs to go forward here. I understand I'm being really patient with him because we haven't trotted under saddle in a while. But just when he's not really like pushing forward, he looks a little bit funky. And he's not funky. It's it's just this kind of like way that he needs to kind of loosen up and go. And again, my reins could be shorter, my hands could be out more in front of me. And it looks again like I'm a little shifted off to the left. So this is what I do when I ride my own videos, and then I come back and say, okay, I need to work on that. I need to improve this because this is, shite. This is crap. And this is what every rider does. And yeah, going a little bit better here. He's wanting to go more forward. I still think that the saddle is a little slipped off to the left, so I'll have to check that. Now we're getting the more forward movement. You have to be careful that he doesn't get too flat in that, and I do address that in the video. Again, could have a little more solid connection. It is better with the more forward movement. Now let's see if the saddle doesn't get in a better position now when we go left. Yeah, a little bit better there. Good. I would really love for this horse to kind of have a little more knee action and have a little more, push from behind. Part of that is a little the lack of fitness. Part of it is the way that he wants to go. He brought his haunches in there, and I do remember saying that in the video. The tail swishing, it just shows me that he's a little bit tight. He's a little bit, not really feeling as good in his body as he should. The one thing I do know about this horse is, and see my right rein there is really too gappy and he is leaning a little bit left. So I need to be able to put him into that right rein better. One thing about this horse is that he really loves to go out and warm up out in the fields. But I didn't do this day just because I wanted you guys to see kind of the crap that can happen. Again, leaning into that left shoulder, that left rib cage a little bit. So not stepping underneath of his center of gravity with his left hind. I wanted you guys to see, sorry, I keep interrupting myself as I'm watching things. I wanted you guys to see like what it's like coming right out of the barn and getting on a horse that, hasn't been on in 2 months. And he's really safe. So it's not like I had to lunge him or anything to keep him, from dumping me or anything like that. He's super safe. So, all right, and this is actually a nicer walk. It's a total free walk on long rein, but I do feel like he's starting to loosen up with that little bit of trot work. And like I said, he does really good if I can just let him canter on a little bit. And that's what I usually do out in the fields before I bring him in the arena. I've actually contemplated whether this horse would rather be like an event horse because he just loves going out in the field so much. And he's super safe out there, but he loves to canter on and gallop on, and he gives a much bigger trot out in the field. I got him at 2.5, so it's not like he's really worked hard since he's come with me, unfortunately. I'm not really one on working the horses super hard, but I do know that he had some work done with him because he was prepped for sale and stuff like that. So I don't know if he just got sour or if he just really likes to be outside in the wide open. So here he's wanting to just kind of jig. I got him a little, I know why I did it. I had him a little over bent left, trying to push him off the left leg, right? Because that's the leg he wants to go against. But then I had to be careful that he doesn't get over bent in the neck. He's offering that now. But I just had to be careful that his hind legs stay in the game a little bit better. And he can get like almost a little too wiggly. It's funny because he's shorter coupled even though he's really tall. That wasn't a bad transition but he immediately wants to kind of bring that left hip to the inside again. And again there too. So we have to work on that. And there's when I'm addressing it. You can see a little bit of resistance there. So there's definitely a tightness. I'll have to do some body work on him, see where that exists. He can be a little bit weaker on the right, so I don't know if it's an issue of the right hind or the left hind. It looks like the left hind here, but I know that his weaker hind is the right, as so many horses are. And it could be, and like I said, he wants to kind of push me off over to the left. And I'm just letting him like find his position where he wants his head and neck, although I could have, again, better connection on that right rein. So this is just helpful for you guys to see. And then we're just doing walk trot transitions because there's a loosening quality to just changing gaits. And of course, we have to, gain fitness also. We're having some nice weather right now, but unfortunately, I hurt my back again. So, yeah, it's always one thing or another, I feel lately. And that's a little bit better. I could still shorten those reins, Rebecca. Shorten those reins. Ride that horse up to the bit. And, give him a place to go. I know I don't want to shorten his neck, but right now it's just sloppy looking. It's just sloppy. And again, a little bit I know why I'm doing what I'm doing, but I'm also saying that on the grand scale, I think this could have been a better day of loosening if I changed some things that I was doing. And just would be, able to help him out better. Like there, of course, my reins are really too long because he brought his head up and he wanted to canter. I do shorten him there, but still not short enough because my hands are so far back in my lap, and I don't have to have a really strong connection to have my hands up and out toward the bit a little bit more. And I do think the saddle needs a little help with him because I do think that that's a little bit why he wants to canter, is because that saddle is drifting off to the left. Again, they change shape when they're sitting, right? When they're not being ridden, they change shape. And so even if your saddle fit them, 2 months ago, it's just like us. If they sit on the couch, we change shape, they change shape. I mean, the nice thing is he does not bring his haunches in this direction. I do feel like he needs a little more forwardness without getting like big or getting strung out. He just needs a little more activity, which, this horse is lazy by nature, which is part of the reason which makes him so safe, because he'd much rather take the lazy route. He doesn't get hot and spicy easily. And so, that's part of what makes him such an easygoing horse. But that also then means that I have to really work on, getting him a little more forward and over the back and through and a little lighter off the aid, and just kind of wanting to, truck along a little bit better on his own, which would give me then a little bit more energy to channel. I think that's what it looks like in general. Like I need a little more energy to channel. If I can, squeeze the toothpaste a little bit more and get a little more flow from the hindquarters up to the bit, I will automatically, I'll shorten my reins and I'll ride a little bit more emphatically without getting rough. It's just this, it kind of seems like a meandering stream when it should be a nice flowing creek or river. That's how I kind of look at that as far as, what the general impression. And then with that lack of flow is, long, sloppy reins and not great connection. So I hope that helps you guys just, to even hear my own critique of my own riding. Again, I know a little bit why I did it because, first ride back, what can I expect, right? He's not been doing anything. So, I have low expectations there, but I should have high expectations for myself, just because I am not going to demand anything or force anything on him. I need to come out and I need to ride the best that I can. So that's my take on that. All right, guys, thanks so much. And I hope that was helpful. See you next time.